listening to the Questionnaire.
Say that again.
You're listening to the Questionnaires.
I've just started.
Right here, for your ears, for your eyes.
The Questionnaire.
Get your Comic on.
Poke it up, poke it up, poke it up, poke it up.
Nothing like a little late night drinking and diving. Yeah, we're questing. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I am the unknown factor, aka that Wade Wilson of hip hop. This is the Questionnaire. I hope you checked out our last episode. Had John Delaney on. We definitely got into Futurama with him, man. On a real, on some, even before Scott's kid, because Scott was over there co-hosting with John, had a great question for John before on the pre-show, right? But Scott ain't here today. Today, co-hosting on this particular quest is none other than Vladimir Popov.
Hey, everybody. Hey, man. How are you doing?
All right, man. I don't know, dude. Three days, 3 quests. That's a lot. But they're all
Weekend is coming. You're doing okay.
Well, look.
Erica, how are you doing?
Hey.
I'm still alive.
You got to let me introduce her, Vlad. You know? Because like I said, I know there's been
no introduction.
Did you? Well, I mean, you were just on the show, Erica. I will say that.
I know, I mean? And I need no introduction. Don't you know I'm a historical figure? I'm going to be on a stamp someday.
I mean,
I will tell you, there's 2 things that I've made history of. One, I'm the first woman to ever write Spawn. And I see Rat City behind you. Yeah. 2, I found out today that in the 12 years that my Daredevil editor has been at Marvel, this is the first time that the proofreaders did not find one error in Daredevil in my script. And he wrote me that email. He said, this is the first time in 12 years that the proofreaders didn't pick up one error when he sent me the lettering draft. So there you go. I'm a historical figure.
Well,
congratulations.
And I'll say on the note of Rat City, which I've read the first 3 issues. I haven't read Spawn since probably Spawn issue 100. I'll be real honest, but I seen that you were writing it, and one I have to note. I swear, I feel like you and Tony, since the first time you've been on the show. Wow. As far as what I mean, sincerely, like from the first time you and Tony Felice were both on the Questionnaire, which has probably been around a year, to now, what you both are doing is incredible. Because, I mean, Eric, you have so increased your workload. You've got 2 titles I'm enjoying greatly right now, and I'm glad to see that they extended Blood Hunters and are going to let you continue to run that story. And then Rat City.
Thank you.
Which I know there's a Spawn podcast. I don't know the name of it. Dave over here listens to it, but
there's a few of them. One of them is called Respawn.
Well, I know one of them that Dave listens to said that is the most well-written Spawn book in quite some time. I can't say that. I haven't read any of the Spawn in quite some time, but I've never read something by you I didn't enjoy. You know?
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I just want to get right into Rat City. Well, did they approach you about doing a Spawn book? Or did you pitch this?
It was New York Comic Con 2022. Thomas Healy, who's the editor-in-chief at Todd McFarlane Productions, he was chatting with Joe Prado, who is an artist and who also reps other artists. And so Thomas was speaking with Joe about getting some of the artists in Joe's group to work on Spawn stuff. And I think, in passing, Thomas mentioned something about, we're going to be looking at expanding this online, so if you know any writers. And so Joe was like, oh, you should go talk to my friend Erica, because Joe and I have known each other for years. So Thomas came over, introduced himself, and said, we'd love to have you, write whatever Spawn you would want. If you wanted to do Scorched, which is their team book, if you wanted to do something with She Spawn, if you something like that. I was like, all right, And the thing is, when you have conversations at a big convention like New York or something like San Diego, it's not like some people are like, oh, you're doing business at the convention. It's not really like that. A lot of it is just, you're getting a little information, and then it always has to be follow up, weeks later. So because New York is in October, like towards the end of October, between Thanksgiving and then Christmas and then New Year's and everything, I ended up not being able to really sit down and have an actual like conversation with Thomas until like February. So we sat down on a Zoom and we were, chatting, and he was saying, these are some of the things that we have coming. And I said, okay. I said, but what about this? And I pitched the story of a veteran amputee who somehow, because at the time I didn't know about the necroplasmic detonation because 300 had like just come out. I think 300 came out that like December, and we were talking like February, 2 months later, but I hadn't known what had happened. And so I was, talking about like, you guys haven't gone into the future really, or if you have gone into the future, you haven't really set a story and kept it there. So we had this whole conversation, and he's like, I really like this. And I said, I'd like to talk about veterans issues. I'd like to talk about issues of disability, whether it's physical disability or emotional disabilities because of like PTSD and things like that. I wanted to bring these sort of very important things that people don't really talk about, but are very important to other people. I mean, my father was a Vietnam veteran. He had PTSD. My grandfather was a World War II veteran who was an amputee. These are things that I have from my life experience. So I pitched him that, and he's like, I really like this idea. Why don't you write something up? So I did. I wrote, 2 or 3 page pitch, just giving sort of the overview of everything. And I sent it, and he had some, quick comments on it. He's, we're going to meet Todd on a Zoom call, but here's a couple of thoughts that I had, about this, that, and the next thing. I'm like, all right. And I was able to read 300, so I could see the whole thing with when Al detonates the suit, and Dilator's there, and Angel's there, and everything. So that's when I added in this idea of, the detonation was what infects the nanites and creates the deviant in 2111. So when Al Simmons and Violator and the Angels Heaven energy had blasted out in that shockwave from the detonation, it ripples across space and time. So that's what causes the blackout in New York. And that's what, and as you can see, like issue number 1, when Peter's trying to make his way home, there's people who are acting kind of crazy. And he even says it. He's like, some people like acting nuts. Like, I don't know what's happening. I just want to get home. And people are sort of acting weird because they're being influenced by this energy that's come across space-time from when Al detonated his suit. We sat down, we had a conversation with Todd. He really liked what I had to say. He made some quick comments about the pitch. I went back, I revised the pitch, and I was like, all right, let's do this. I mean, I talk about it as it's very casual, and it was a very sort of anxious moment because, I'm a huge fan of Todd's work. He has historical place within comics, not just being part of the Image 7 and not just, creating like Venom and these huge characters and, his redesign of Spider-Man and things like that. But I'm a fan of his work. I'm a fan of his work ethic. I'm a fan of the fact that, he wanted to do it his way, and it was not easy, but he did, and he still kept going. And I respect that significantly. So, meeting him was phenomenal, and he was nothing but gracious and respectful and very just encouraging, I think is the word. And he basically he gave Jay Carlos, who's the artist, we then sat down and we started doing designs for the character and everything. And Todd and Thomas basically just gave us free reign. Like we just started riffing for things and nobody said no to us yet. And
well, that's great.
And that's, I mean, the freedom of that is there's a part of me that's paranoid, and I'm like, he's giving me enough rope to hang. I was like, he's going to give me enough rope to hang myself, isn't he? And, you know, I had written up until issue, I think, number 4 or 5 before the first issue came out. So I was like knee deep in the story before issue 1 came out. And all I kept thinking was, you know, the proof's going to be in issue number 1. If issue number 1 does well, then I can see people like sticking around. And issue 1 has gone to 4 printings. Issue 2 is on its 2nd printing now. Issue 4 comes out, today is the 11th. Issue 4 comes out on the 17th, so this coming Wednesday. I just finished writing issue 9. I hand wrote the outline and the opening for issue 10. And Todd basically said, like, go as long as you want, and let's see if we can get at least 30 issues out of you.
30? Okay, see, that was going to be my next question as far as if there was a plan in this run. As far as McFarlane, too, I do also have to acknowledge what he did for the action figure industry with McFarlane Toys, because I think he very much changed that there as well. I mean, I've got it. Yeah, I've got a couple.
Have you seen his 90s commercials on action figures?
Yes, they're all on. They're on YouTube. Yeah, and then you had Liefeld's commercial, Levi's commercial on YouTube from the 90s too. So yeah, I mean, everybody in the Image family, whether you're talking about Valentino or Silvestri or Wilton Portis or, you know, Jim Lee, all of them have, I mean, they made their own way. And now when you think about independent comics and stuff, people just think like, oh, I'll just kickstart something or whatever. And now it's second nature. What they did back then is the reason why we can just put a comic on Kickstarter. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, and I started out as an independent comics creator. I'm still an independent comics creator. You know, I just finished a Kickstarter last November, you know, less than a year ago. We did a Kickstarter for Christabel. So the fact that I'm working directly with someone whose past work, perseverance, and diligence makes what I'm doing today possible. I mean, that's a very cool thing. It's and you know, and I'm the first person to admit, like, I try not to get starstruck in front of some people, because I know most people in this industry are just very so chill. But like when he came on the Zoom call for a second, I was like, oh man, my brother would be killing to sit right here right now. Like, I had texted my brother like just before, like, dude, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be on a Zoom call with Todd McFarlane. He's like, he's gonna stand you up, like, you're an idiot, you know, whatever, you know, brother, sister, the typical banter bullshit. But I got off the thing and the Zoom call, and I was like, dude, I just had like an hour-long conversation with Todd McFarlane, and he's like, that's amazing, you know. And I'm, like I said, I'm insanely lucky, but luck only constitutes part of it, because, you know, I've worked my tail off. So yeah.
I can.
Well, every now once in a while, luck comes at someone's door, but before it comes, you gotta like do like a ton of hard work.
Yeah, I mean, my first comic, I wrote my first comic when I was 31, and it was an independent book, and we put it out. Vicente Alcazar and I did a crime series called M3, and we put out 12 issues in about 3.5, 4 years, and we put all of it was put out independently on our own. When the first trade paperback came, we got it into Diamond. When the second trade paperback came, we got it into Diamond. You know, and it was a lot of work, but we did it. And that, as a writer, like, that's basically your calling card. You have to make a comic. And I got that book in the hands of a bunch of editors. When we had the first trade in 2012, I got the book in the hands of a bunch of editors, and I didn't get a call from anybody until 2014. and I got a call from Marvel, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I've made it. No, I got a call. I wasn't doing anything superhero. I got a call about a graphic, doing a prequel graphic novel to a TV show that was on ABC, a show called Revenge. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. And I wrote that, and it was a very strange process, but then I figured, like, yes, I'm into Marvel. I did not hear from Marvel again until 2018. So it was a 4-year hiatus. It was 2 years when the editors had my book, and then it was 4 years from then to the next time I got called. And I got called in 2018 to do an inventory, an annual for Daredevil. So I did that. And I thought, yes, I am in the superhero pantheon. Nope. I did not get a call from Marvel. I went calling Marvel when I found out that there was going to be a Moon Knight anthology. So I had emailed an editor, and I said, look, I know you're not there on this. You got to tell me. I got to reach out. Who do I have to kill to get into the Moon Knight anthology? It's complicated. And I've said this before, Brewer's probably the only person on this planet that's and he's not a scary person. It's just, it's intimidating. And so I sent him an email, and I said, I really want to work on this Moon Knight book. And he said, okay, well, you got to get me something quick. You got to get me, an outline for a story quick. And within an hour, I had the outline, because I had already written a bunch of stuff that I would love to have done. So I was just like, let me find that one file. Boom, doom. And then he's like, okay, well, take these two and blow them out of it. And I blew those out of it. And he's like, all right, I really like this one. When can you get a script to me? And it was like a Thursday. And I said, how's Monday? And he's like, oh, yeah, haha. I was like, no, you will have a script by Monday. And I sent him the script by Monday. And I was like, okay, what's next? And he's like, okay, you're now ahead of the game. So why don't you just sit tight, little eager beaver over there? But after I did the Moon Knight story, and I impressed him with that, about 2 months later, I got a call. This is now 2021. I got a call from an editor saying, hey, would you like to do we're going to be doing a new X-23 series. Of course. So I got that. And then from X-23, I got Hallow's Eve. And then we did other Hallow's Eve stories, because this random character who nobody knew who she was sold really well and people really liked it. So, okay, great. I got more stories with her. And then, I got another Moon Knight story, the What If story, which was amazing, because I got to riff off of my favorite Moon Knight run, which is Mark Spector Moon Knight from 1989. Sal Valuto was the artist on it. And I have Mark Spector #3, which is the issue that Edgar Salazar and my Moon Knight What If kicks off of. And I brought Mark Spector Moon Knight #3 to Sal Valuto at Dragon Con last year. And he signed it for me. And I gave him my copy of What If, and he had me sign it for him. And that was just insane.
Yeah,
that was insane.
That's really, really cool, man. And can I say, as far as just looking at you writing, as far as a writer, Eric, I mean, I've had a privilege to read a good deal of your stuff. You sent me a phenomenal care package, so I even got to check out M3. And I mean, I can be terrible sometimes about reading comics. I know you have the same issue, to where you end up getting a bit of a backlog, ostensibly.
Yeah.
So I had 3 issues of Rat City before I finally, and I do that a lot sometimes, where and then I finally, because I'm like, okay, because I'm in the middle of this series, so I'm like, well, I'll start that, and then look, when I read the first issue, I read the 3rd issue before I went to sleep. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm glad that it caught you, because I know a lot of people were trepidatious about it. They thought it was either going to be too superhero, it was going to be too this, too that. Like, I mean, the YouTube comments on my IGN interview are just laughable. But I'm glad that you enjoyed it. So thank you for that.
Well, I think it's a very interesting. As far as I know, Heck hasn't been mixed with a Spawn like that before. As far as I know.
Which is why we don't call him a Spawn. We call him the Deviant.
Well, yeah. So, and I think that's an interesting twist on it. You're making it to where it's not, but it is. You know what I mean? It's that you're walking a real fine line there, right? What made you decide?
We're gonna walk like a very fine line when it comes to when we bring in religion and things like that, which we're introducing in these new scripts, where we bring in religion, where we bring in the society's idea of religion 100 years from now. You know, what are the ideas? Like, where did religion get us as a society, as a global society, and stuff? So there's going to be a lot of commentary on organized religion and such. So
yeah, the artwork is really cool on the issues.
Jay Carlos is phenomenal. Jay Ramos, who was the colorist on the main Spawn book for a while, is now going to be the colorist on Rhapsody. And Jay's been doing a great job. Jay Carlos has been just phenomenal. He's great to work with. He's incredibly collaborative. He's just he wants to make the book as good as it can be, and that's it. And I think I've made like 3 comments on, and he's working on issue number 7 right now. I think I've made like 3 comments in every single page, you know, that he's done, like throughout, you know, from all these pages that he's already put out. And first of all, his output, he's like a machine. His output is crazy. I get like a new page every day and a half. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, he's got like a really cool style. He's got a cool look to everything. He designs like all the graffiti that you see. He's putting that in. All that graffiti, all those tags, that's all him.
You're getting those pages in a day and a half a page?
Yeah.
Color me impressed.
He's a beast.
Yeah, that's
black and white, right?
He's doing just the inks, and then Jay Ramos is our J. David Ramos is our colorist. But yeah, Jay's working digitally, and I try to be at least 2 scripts ahead of him. So right now he's halfway through issue number 7, and I have 8 and 9 already written. So I want to start number 10 before San Diego so I can get some of that. And I'll probably write a bunch of it on the plane too. I mean, because I sleep on planes or anything like that. I have to do something. So.
Fair enough. I'm curious though, because I know within the Spawn fandom that there were people that when they heard a female's name writing Spawn, it was like a thing, which I don't get why, especially, and I guess I specifically say that because I know your work, and when you bring a writer's name where I'm like, oh, well, they're a good writer. That's the main thing I care. Hey, they can write a good story. That's what matters, right? And I mean, you've proven that a number of times. So I'm curious, what was your response to that fandom? Or did you just kind of like, I'm going to ignore that and go do something really good that they can't deny?
Well, I mean, my whole thing is I would rather, instead of like stand up to people and like shout at them into the void, especially on the internet, I would rather just do a really good book and, you know, prove people wrong. I mean, there's already people that have said, I'm never going to touch this book because a woman has no place writing Spawn or any of that. And the irony is, and this is like a really funny thing, there are so many women that actually work at Todd McFarlane Productions. like between production artists and background artists. There are a lot of women that really work at Todd McFarlane, but the fact that none of them are writing one of the books. So like at New York Comic Con, I was hanging out with Shannon and with Yvette and with Fawn, like all these ladies that work at Todd McFarlane. Okay, so this idea of like, oh, women shouldn't touch Spawn, they're already touching Spawn, dude. Like Yvette puts all the books together, like all of the production design work and everything. Check the credit page. You know, like this idea of like women shouldn't touch Spawn.
They didn't get a memo.
No, that's been happening for a really long time, my dude. Sorry, all those press releases you get, they're coming from Shannon. You know, so my whole thing is like, look, I'm not going to please everybody, and I was never put on this earth to make anybody happy. I was put on this earth to make really good stories and to fulfill and satisfy the voices in my head. So if I'm doing that and the voices quiet down long enough for me to get some sleep one night, great. And also, I mean, to be honest, and I said this, was I on a podcast or was I in an interview? I basically said there's two people that I need to make sure are happy in this world: Tom Brevoort and Todd McFarlane. And as of right now, the two of them are not pissed at me, so I'm in an okay place.
Well,
the checks keep clearing. As long as the checks clear, I'm okay.
Give me.
That's your job as a creator to please the editor. They hired you, so you know.
Yeah.
Give me 1 sec, y'all. You know, I'm trying to make sure I don't have tech problems, Erica, but we made sure we didn't have tech problems over here because that's what we do here at QUESTionnaire. Sometimes we have tech problems we don't see coming, and they, you know, right there, you know, that happens. All right, what are you gonna do?
Work on
Yeah.
the fly.
Huh?
Keep those gremlins of technology away.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what do you do? Because I know in the discussion we had with Fabian, where you co-hosted, we had a number of different things. But one of the things that came up was the fact that, hey, Erica, you're writing a lot of books, right?
Yeah.
Right? So how do you make sure?
A lot of books.
Yeah, I mean, well, what do you all, because you're writing Spawn right now, you're writing Blood Hunters right now, you've got the Black Widow.
As of right now.
Yeah, what are you writing?
I have 3 books that I am currently writing. I have Spawn, I have Blood Hunters, and I have a book that hasn't been announced yet. That's getting announced at San Diego. So those are the 3 books that I'm currently writing. When we spoke with Fabian, I was writing 7 books. I was writing Daredevil, Blood Hunters, Black Widow, Spawn, the Blood Hunters anthology series, Darth Maul, and the book I'm not supposed to talk about yet.
Wait. Has the Darth Maul dropped yet?
Darth Maul came out. Darth Maul came out last week or the week before. The Darth Maul red, white, and red, white, and no, black, white, and red. You can't say blood for this film. Black, white, and red, not black, white, and blood.
Okay.
Even though he's a villain. He's Sith. Come on. Darth Maul came out, so yeah.
I'm going to have to grab that one because that was one of my favorite Star Wars characters, and to know that you wrote something on him, and I it's one of those things you can't keep up with everything, you know what I mean? Because
the extended universe. Which Star Wars book you were working on?
There's a Darth Maul, Black, White, Red. That's the only one that I've gotten to work on so far.
Oh, I saw that. That was a nice one. Yeah.
Yeah. The Star Wars people haven't asked me to do anything else. If they do, you know, of course. But as of right now, that's the only book that Leonard Kirk was the artist. I'm trying to think who was the colorist, because Leonard did some of the colors. And then there was another colorist who was brought in, but I can't think off the top of my head. And because my office is in like such a disarray, I can't just go to my comics pile and be like, oh, no, you know. But yeah, Darth Maul, Black, White, and Red, #3 came out last week or the week before. And then this coming week is going to be Rat City #4, Blood Hunters, the anthology #4, and Daredevil #1. It's a lot.
So the Star Wars, the Black, White, and Red, that's High Republic era, or
no. When I was talking to them about it, they said you can do a story pre-Solo, post, or you could do it pre-Phantom Menace. So I did the story before Phantom Menace. So I actually brought in Palpatine as a senator. So he wasn't the Emperor yet. He was still Sheev, the senator from Naboo. And then I had him sending Maul on a mission, and it's linked to the fact that Palpatine is sort of living this double life of like being the senator, but also being Sidious. So yeah, and the way I did it was because I caught Maul in such a sort of early stage. I wanted to have it be where he was a little, not defiant against Sidious, but he was like questioning. He's like, well, why do you want this person dead? What did they do? And it's, you know, Sidious's reaction was, you know, you need to shut your mouth and just do what you're supposed to do. And, you know, that was more all that we saw in like the Clone Wars cartoon series, where he started, you know, after he got, you know, he went back to Dathomir and he got his legs and everything. So that was more sort of defiance. So I kind of wanted to give a baseline to that defiance and sort of like, where did it start? Well, defiance can just open up as curiosity, can start as curiosity. So if he's younger and you know, still training and everything, maybe it's just he's curious about things. And then after years of being told no, that curiosity starts to twist and starts to, yes, what's the word? Almost like get infected to become this like defiant thing. So that's kind of the idea behind the story that I did. So, and yeah, Leonard Kirk was the artist on it, and yeah, it was interesting to work with Lucasfilm. They are very particular about things, so I will say that. Very strange things to nitpick, but you know, hey, I mean, they're the ones writing the checks, so it's my job to make sure that they're happy.
I mean, I've definitely heard that too, though. When you're working with Star Wars, it's that whole, you know, Lucas is way more picky about things and keeping it canon. But I think it's funny that the point that you made, as far as the curiosity that turned into defiance, I feel like that's more of a Sith thing then. Like, you know, they're like, why am I getting bossed around? And then finally they get defiant about it, because isn't that sort of what Darth Vader did? Like, why are you telling me to kill my kid? You know, I don't want to kill my kid.
Well,
and
I mean, the idea of there can only be two as a Sith is, you know, you're going to wind up, the only way you can take an apprentice is if you kill your master.
Yeah.
You know, so that idea of defiance, it has to come into play simply based on the mythology and the construct that they created. This idea of there could be only two, and a master and an apprentice. Well, once the apprentice feels that they've become the master, or has, you know, has gone past their master, and their master is no longer useful and is more or less obsolete, therefore the master is then pushed out of the way. So I mean, like, they set the rules, I'm just playing within them.
There can be only one. Oh wait,
Yeah.
That's a different universe.
That's Highlander, but still.
I know.
Pitched a Highlander like a million years ago. I forget who.
I worked on Highlander actually.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you work on the
for the
TV
IDW?
series, or?
Yeah. IDW.
Oh,
the prequel
IDW
for
had
the
it.
first
Okay.
movie. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't know if IDW had it when I had pitched it. I think maybe Dynamite had it, but I'm not sure. But I remember I had pitched like a mini series for Highlander. It never went anywhere, but it's cool that you got to work on that.
Yeah.
I
That was 2017, 2018. Dynamite was, I think, like 2009.
Yeah. Was it? Did you get to work with the McLeod clan, or did you have to do something else?
We did the prequel to first movie called The American Dream, where we followed Connor through 3 different timelines. It was a 5
Okay.
issues mini. Well, you should
Okay,
try
cool.
and pitch again. I think the movie is a remake. Like Henry Cavill is, I think, doing it. At least that's what the internet said. So, yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, we can't have an American Highlander ever. No, I'm just kidding. I always joke that all our superheroes are turning into are either Australian or British these days. You know, we've had how many British Supermans? We've got Spider-Man's British. 2 of the 3 Spider-Mans are British. You know, come on, man.
I don't. You know, the funniest thing. I think I've seen the funniest thing I've ever seen.
The Swedish Phantom. That's one.
Oh no.
The Swedish.
Yeah, well, the Swedish publishing house is publishing Phantom. It's quite popular there.
Oh, okay. Okay. But, that was Billy Zane who was the Phantom in that bad movie.
I just love seeing an interview with Tom Holland where he's talking with his regular accent, and they're like, "What are you doing?" and are so confused hearing him speak with his normal accent because they're like, "Well, are you faking a British accent?" He's like, "What are you talking about, mate?" Like just talking how he normally speaks. You know, it was, yeah. That's a British.
I think Tom Holland is a really good casting in the sense that, like, physically, in terms of like having the body type, being physically active, being a gymnast himself, and you know, and it's funny because I was just watching an interview with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds about, you know, the new Deadpool Wolverine movie, and Hugh Jackman was talking about in terms of doing stunts. He never realized when he was younger that when you do stunts, having a dance background is actually very good because you know how to move your body in a certain way. And a lot of, when you watch fight choreography, it's like a dance, you know, move this way, you move that way. And it has to be planned out that way so nobody gets hurt, you know? Having Tom Holland, having been a dancer, having been a gymnast and everything, I think he's a really good casting choice in terms of his physicality of it. I just, you know, and I tease, and my British friends laugh at me about this because I'm like, man, why can't we have an American Spider-Man? You know, but like that was the joke when you said Henry Cavill. I'm like, oh my God, he's Superman. He was what's his face from The Witcher, and you know, yeah, he's taking over the world. So.
Well,
I mean,
it's just the way. Yeah. But I mean, okay, Rock could be the Highlander.
Yeah, you know, I think there are some people who are just oversaturated everything, but you know, again, if they're making money and they're feeding their families, who am I to say anything?
It's heat of the moment,
you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are plenty of people that are like, there's too many books on the shelves with that lady's name on it, so you know, okay. Maybe I'll back off a little bit.
I think everybody in creative line gets to that point at some point. I had that moment like 7 or 8 years ago where I was working on 5 books at the same time with flat earths and everything. People just offered, and you know, you arrange that stuff, and you know, who are you to say no when they offer? You don't know where's that going to lead to, the next gig or next networking or next opportunity, you know, portfolio and everything.
Well, that's the thing. If you're a freelancer, like, you can't say no. I actually did say no to the job earlier this year, and there was that tinge of, oh, what am I doing? You know, but. You know, I was barely writing 7 books. I couldn't write 8. But like that would have pushed me over the edge. But yeah, I mean, like you said, you don't know where this job is going to lead in terms of putting different P in your portfolio, meeting new editors, you know, getting relationships with, you know, new contacts and new relationships with people. I mean, a lot of it is a networking game. You know, I would say there's a good amount where we're just, you know, sitting at the laptop, you know, banging the keys. But then there's also plenty of times when we're trying to have a conversation with editors or trying to, pitch a story idea or something like that. So,
Yeah.
which is why, like, even as misanthropic as I am and how I hate people, I still got to kind of be nice to them.
Yeah.
I understand. I don't know how.
You like gatherings, but not people as much. That's.
No, I don't even like gatherings. I made a joke on Twitter. I said, like, I'm feeling as people hating as I usually do, and San Diego Comic-Con is right around the corner. Like, this is going to be the worst thing in the world. But
Do you have a secret Twitter account with a fake nickname so we can do some?
No, I don't.
Creative trolling.
No, because they'll look at it and be like, "You're a sock puppet." Because it'll say like, "Just joined July 2024," and they'd be like, "Who is this? Troll bot, whatever." And I'm like, yeah. But I mean, like, I will say some salty things, but it's basically like I badly, and I know that this is a toxic trait, but I tend to attach my feelings to the work. So if I feel good about the work, then I'm going to be in a great mood. If I read a bunch of reviews and they're not good, I'm going to be devastated. Like, it's going to be curl up in a ball kind of thing, hide under the couch kind of thing. And I know that that's a toxic trait. I'm trying to get over it, and I'm trying not to read any reviews. So yeah.
I'm not sure that's possible in today's world, actually.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, you just go on Twitter to check your notifications, and you're tagged in a bunch of things. And I'm like, and then you have to look and see what it is, and then you're like, oh my God, they hated the book, but they thought I was a hacker, blah blah blah, and then you're like, oh, my entire week is ruined, so.
You make me feel.
Maybe you can switch to visuals. I mean, I work as a colorist mostly, and I get barely mentioned in reviews.
So you work at college. Do you know about like the professor rating system and everything?
No, colorist.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said you worked at a college. My apologies.
No, not college. No. I'm coloring the comics. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because I have a friend who actually is a professor, and she says that there's a website where students can go and actually rate professors, and I'm like, that's awful. I mean, like, yeah, there's some professors that are total jerks, but like, come on.
That's standard practice, like everywhere, yeah.
At least it hasn't gone to
Terrible.
adjustment. At least it hasn't gone to adjustment day level yet. You know what I mean?
Do you remember hotornot.com? Do you remember that website back in the early 2000s? Hotornot.com. You would upload a photo of yourself and see
Oh
how
yeah. That was a nice one.
That was awful. That was an awful experience. But, we all did it because we were all narcissists.
Yeah.
We were all budding little internet narcissists.
The granddaddy of Tinder.
God.
I don't know. Perhaps I was a little too young for that website, though. I do vaguely remember it.
I don't know. I was getting between like 7 and 9.
In the year two, I graduated college in 1999, so I'm older than all of you. So, like, I got my first apartment when I was like 21. So, and I graduated in 99. So yeah.
And then you instantly just got on Hot or Not, and posted your picture right after that apartment, didn't you? Don't lie, Erica.
I did.
I have to check. I have to check if this website still exists right now.
Oh God.
Check it out. Hotornot.com.
I know.
It's probably a porno site now.
No, it just redirects to some fake website. I'm pretty sure if you go on a web archive, we will be able to.
You know what? It reminds me of, what is the dating app that you swipe left or swipe right?
Tinder.
Okay,
or
it reminds me of
Hinge
that,
or Bumble, or there's like a ton of them.
I met my husband in 2002. Okay, we've been together since. So we've been together for over 20 years. So I never did the dating app thing, but hotornot.com was very similar to that, because if you clicked one arrow and you said that that person was not, they would put up another photo. And if you clicked the hot arrow, then they would put up the photo of somebody else. So like it was that sort of alternating kind of thing. So yeah, maybe Tinder got that idea from hotornot.com. I don't know. I don't know how we got on this subject, but anyway.
Because you brought up
But I
Hotornot, man.
digress.
So look, I gotta say though, let's flip this back to into the comics, man, because I know we had Kelly Thompson on here not long ago, and she is getting ready to venomize Jeff the Shark. She said this on the
I
show,
know.
and I had to hold that thing for so long before Marvel announced it. You can check it out where we actually chat about that a little bit with Kelly, though, because I have dropped that over on the YouTube now. But you're
I love
getting
Jeff
a little,
Shark.
you're
He's
getting a little,
phenomenal.
hey, you're getting a little venomous too over there with a particular widow, and hey, we could talk about that.
Yes, Black Widow Venomous. We've got Luciano Vecchio is the artist on this, and we're doing 4 issues together. We have the Venom War 3 issues, but then we have like kind of what I've been calling the 0 issue, which is a one shot. And to say that Luciano is a brilliant, phenomenal artist doesn't sound like it does justice. Like I got pages from him, and I literally emailed him back. I was like, "How are you real? Like, seriously, dude, how are you real? Because this isn't. No, this can't be real. I cannot be this lucky in life, and you cannot be a real human being." There are some pages where he put spot color in, just to help like with the flow of it. And there were pages where I'm like, you don't need to color these pages, like just with your spot color. But then it was looking too much like black, white, and red. So obviously we brought a colorist, and Rochelle Rosenberg colored it and did a fantastic job. But just looking at, sometimes when you look at inks, there's sort of like a starkness to it. And sometimes it's like the color is what really brings it and to the focal planes. But there, even with just like the little spot, like Natasha's hair would be red, and she would have the blue cuffs, like the little sticker cuffs, and just that tiny bit of spot color was just so. Yeah, Luciano is incredible, and we're having a lot of fun with this. We learned a little bit more about Natasha in the Red Room, and we see some of the really, what's the word I'm looking for? Sadistic kind of behavior that she had to tolerate when she was training as a widow. And it's pretty crazy when we sort of do this sort of contrast between the way Natasha was taught in the Red Room versus the way she is trying to teach a particular person on how to be a widow. And Natasha sort of has this moment where she's like, I can't repeat what was done to me. Like, I'll never make you into me, even if I do exactly the same thing. And Natasha sort of recognizes the sadism in what happened with her. And I think that's an interesting thing that a lot of people talk about. Like, you hear people talking about all the time, like, oh, well, my parents smacked me around and I turned out okay. And it's like, yeah, but did you really? You're in therapy like everybody else. So,
yeah, that's the one that kicks in after 35.
Yeah, So it's interesting to show Natasha recognizing the what she went through, and I think she's reconciled, but actually sitting here and saying, this wasn't right for me, and it's not right for anybody else, and I'm not going to be complicit in creating trauma in someone else. And the way Luciano illustrates this and puts a face to this story, it's very moving. I think he did a phenomenal job, and I think it's very moving. There's a particular splash page that he did that I thought was just the full design of it, because everything that he does, it reminds me very much of Steranko, when he was on Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and everything was very graphic design. Everything was very, like, every page had a specific layout, and there were moments where you had to turn the book to read things and things like that. And I would say that the 4 issues that Luciano and I have done together would be, what did I tell him? I told him he was the love child of Steranko and John Romita Sr. And there are some poses that he draws Natasha in that are so John Romita. Like, it's just, I can't say enough good things about this book. I cannot wait for this book to come out. It's coming out at the end of the month, and I cannot wait for it to come out. Because when people see, I said, if you don't get nominated for an Eisner for this book, then it's all rigged. Something's wrong with the world. So, yeah.
I'm starting to hate
Yeah, I
writing this
feel
show
that one.
because, like, I keep on buying more books because of it.
I'll stop writing books. You don't have to buy them. You can
No,
get it
no,
from the library.
Huh? But
You
look,
can get books from the library.
I know I get the older stuff in my local library. I don't want to wait because they're only getting graphics, and so you're waiting at least a good year before you get any of that in the local library. And sometimes I just don't have the patience.
Is that your way of saying, Erica, send me another care package?
I
Is
mean,
that your way of, like,
no, I don't mean that, but I'll totally take it.
Care package
I would totally take a care package, Erica. I would not say no.
Because I sent that kid's book too for your son. I sent that kid's book too.
I need to try and read that to him again because I'm trying to read him more comics. I need to bust that out again. I don't know how well because he just hit 5 just a little while ago. You know what I mean? So he's starting to get
that book is supposed to be for 1st and 2nd graders, so he's close to that because he's in kindergarten, right? It was aged for 1st and 2nd graders. So I think he would be fine with it.
He's just
it's a play off of the Wizard of Oz. So everybody's familiar with that.
If you, I'll tell you, if you'd wrote something that had trucks or cars in it, I guarantee he'd let me read it to him.
I pitched a Transformers story when they were doing, what did they call it?
It's Skybound or IDW Transformers?
No, at IDW they were doing. Was it called Galaxies or something? Where they were doing these like mini series and shorts, like almost like in the anthologies. I pitched for that, and like literally, I was so late to the game. Like 2 days after I sent my pitch, and they had announced on like the Beat or Comic Book Resources they weren't doing that anymore. And I was like, well, I have perfect timing. So, yeah, I finished it. There you go.
Right.
That'll have to go up on my co-file later. So. Do you want to go through any of the questions I spent all that time answering?
No, no. Look, they can go over the Patreon, and just all you got to do is become a member over on the Patreon, and you can see all of those answers. But Erica, don't you know that doesn't mean I'm still not going to use at least a few of them?
Fucking to deve fare. Do what you got to do.
She keeps speaking Italian to me, Vlad, and I'm like, she thinks I know it.
Mm-hmm.
I only know.
I'm
I know how to say.
For a question to ask.
I can say hello, goodbye, and hello. My name is Erica in Russian. That's it. That's all I can say in Russian.
All I know is.
Да, на здравие. That's fine.
All I know is Davrish.
That's all I could say.
Yeah.
Davrish.
Davrish, and I only know that because of the movie Blade.
Добър ден, драги люди, како сте? Very good. It's not Russian, but
it's funny. It's funny because I went on YouTube just for the hell of it because I wanted to learn how to say like, hello, my name is Erica. It's nice to meet you in like as many languages as I possibly could. And a friend of mine who is Russian, I said that to her, and she's like, actually, I was like, I sound awful. She's like, oh, you sound pretty good. I was like, all right, thank you. So yeah, I mean, but I speak Italian, but I say like,
you can switch.
Erica.
You can switch with hard R, like Scottish, and that's just gonna be same as Russian, like Erica. Just the pronunciation.
Because in Italian it's Erica. It's like the E is pronounced like an A, so it's Erica. So my grandmother, my nonna would always be like, Erica, why do you say Erica? What's the name? No, sorry. Piacente.
Okay, real quick. I do. Let's cut to
allora, sì.
Since you brought it up, though, I do have to kind of cut to your questionnaire, man, because I do. Erica, for the comic book world you want to live in, yeah, you're right. I don't know. I had somebody that was from New York pick Marvel, and I'm like, you have to live in New York, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, you're out of your freaking mind, right? But you picked because I said the My Little Pony when I filled out the questionnaire. But yeah, the Deadliest Bouquet is also because that's ostensibly just regular.
It's 1998 in North Jersey.
Yeah.
It's literally where I grew up. So
yeah.
I will take that. I've survived that.
Have you seen Kevin Smith before he became famous? Have you crossed his path?
Grew up. No, I did not. So Kevin Smith is a few years older than I am, but he grew up in Central Jersey near the beach. I grew up right over the George Washington Bridge. You go over the George Washington Bridge, you hit two towns. You hit Fort Lee, you hit Leonia. And I grew up literally at the border of Leonia in a town called Teaneck. And when I would climb to the roof of my house to smoke cigarettes away from my parents so they couldn't see me, I could see the bridge. So my parents were both from New York. So yeah, I mean, my grandparents lived in New York. We were there every other weekend and stuff. So when people, like if somebody's from New York, like New York City, and you say, where'd you grow up? And you say Teaneck, they're like, oh yeah, it's like the 6th borough. Whereas Kevin Smith's my older brother's age. And he grew up way farther south, probably about an hour and a half south of where I grew up. So yeah, I never knew him. My first introduction to him was when a friend of mine had gotten a copy of Clerks on a VHS. And we watched it on a Friday night. And I think we probably stole beer from someplace and watched it on a Friday night. And that was my introduction to Kevin Smith. But I mean, one thing I have to say about people from New Jersey is they either rah-rah Jersey and, we love it, we stay here, or they shit on it and they leave. Whereas, so you've got, Jon Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen, still living in Jersey, Jon Stewart, I think he lives in upstate New York now, but was still living in Jersey for a really long time. Kevin Smith seemed to say, peace out, Jersey, and, go all Hollywood. So, good for him, but don't throw out that you're from Jersey if, you leave the second second chance you get,
That's pretty much with every other part of the world, Either you like your home or you go and you don't like it,
Well, I mean, my husband's from Ohio, and so they basically say, if you live in Ohio, everybody's trying to go somewhere else. But his entire family is in Ohio. They all stayed there. He was the only one who came over to New York because, I guess he was looking for greener pastures, and he got a wife out of it. So.
Yeah, I want to visit Ohio one day in the future because my great-grandparent, one of them, actually immigrated to U.S. in 1907. To Ohio, actually, and there he baked moonshine under the prohibition to survive. And then he got back to Serbia, which is where I am right now and where I was born. So I want to.
What time is it in Serbia? It's got to be
right now it's 4 a.m. I'm 6 hours ahead of East Coast.
6 hours ahead. So you're on the same line as Johannesburg and Italy and.
No. Budapest, Prague. Berlin, Johannesburg is I think 1 or 2 hours ahead. They're more like London time.
But see, why Yeah, Vlad's a trooper, Erica. He comes over here, and I don't know how many times he's been up till 5 or 6 in the morning while we're doing
Listen,
quests.
I don't want to hear your shit about me being like, I got a heart out at 10:45. I don't want to hear any of that. I got dudes coming to my house with power tools.
Oh
early in
no,
the
no, I
morning,
don't know,
and
no,
I
I
got
don't care that.
sleep in my eyes. I'm like putting on a bathrobe so they're not seeing me like run through the house with no bra and like pajama pants on. Like, come on, man.
I don't know. No, that's not. I didn't mean anything. I didn't know you had
I
a
was
hard
never
out.
a morning person, like
No,
ever.
I just
So
look.
Like, I don't drink coffee because it literally gives me heart palpitations. But I live down the street from a Dunkin' Donuts, and where was I this morning? I got myself a large freaking coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, and then after I drank that, my entire body went, we need to have a conversation, Erica, because the heart, which is like what's keeping us all alive, is not very happy right now, and you're about to have a massive anxiety attack.
and when you get a decaf,
No, it doesn't matter, because decaf isn't 100% decaf. That's the thing, is like you can't ever take all of the caffeine out of coffee. So it doesn't matter whether it's decaf or regular. And I said, when did I say? The other day I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, Kirby said comics will break your heart. I said, I have proof of that. My EKG from last year and my EKG from this year. My cardiologist was like, what's been happening this past year? Things have been changing in your in the arrhythmia in your heart. I was like, oh my God, comics they're literally breaking my heart.
yeah.
Kirby has never been so right before.
Just the fact
So
that
when you see the headline, I'm bleeding cool, Erica Schultz, dead 47, heart attack. Now you know.
I think you should look, Erica. I think you need to practice some form of meditation and some form of yoga or something. And I say that because I want you to write comics for a while because I enjoy what you write, and I really
know.
Haiku poetry.
And I love having you on the show.
Haiku poetry.
Something.
It's cool, like 3 sentences, and you gotta.
I started working out. Again, so that's I've got San Diego coming up, so I gotta get rid of the tumalum. So I've been doing my 30 sit-ups and my leg lifts and my planks. I did a 3-minute plank the other day. I was very proud of myself. So yeah,
planks are
not supposed to help.
They're cool.
So yeah, it's only because I don't look like a fat ass when I go to San Diego. I want to look halfway decent because in the event that a celebrity actually wants to have a conversation with me, I won't be like the hideous, typical comic book fan. So.
Yeah. Well.
Cut all of that out.
Like a tiki lounge.
Yeah. Can I really like? Did
San
you really?
Diego, like CBR doing the thing with interviews on a boat. I know they did that before.
God damn it, Erica. Would you make me stop cutting shit? Like, no, I'm. Do you really want that all cut out? Because I assume you don't want that.
No, I don't care.
Are you sure?
Yeah, people are going to say I'm fat phobic. I'm not fat phobic. I simply don't want. I want to make sure my clothes fit me properly.
It was more the typical comic book fan line that like.
No, you're just getting into a character. You're writing Black Widow, so she's in shape. So yeah, that figures like.
No, I'm getting into Black Widow character with my cat ears, which Liana gave these to me, by the way.
Wait, no. Oh, that's. Man, I don't know. Like the patterns and things that have connected together within this show. Like if everybody connected every little dot of things, like it's amazing. Because like I said, the fact that you had that on Fabian's, and then we had Liana on, and then you're back, and it's bloody well a web of intricacy. No wonder you're writing a widow, right? I'm curious though. What's the aspect?
Hey! We're talking about comic books, not conspiracy theories.
Well, I know. I said no. Well, there might be a little bit of one, but that's not here nor there.
You're missing a WAN, buddy.
And it's not a theory if it's really a conspiracy. But I digress, right? My point is, how when you were handling the widow, did you handle the symbiote aspect of it? Because I think it's a very interesting thing to add to that character. And it's something I don't know. It's something I don't know.
Black Venom.
Sometimes I feel like Marvel is overusing the symbionts anymore.
Well, yeah, we actually make a joke about that. Like, who doesn't have a symbiote these days? Because you have Liz Allen has Misery. There, Dylan, who is Eddie Brock's son, has Venom at one point. Another point, he has Sleeper. There's Shriek. There's Carnage. There's a lot of them. Torrin Grunbeck is actually writing Carnage and Venom right now. Torrin wrote, I believe, the first issue where Natasha got her symbiote. What I do with symbiote is I feel bad for the letterer because it's a nightmare, because it's like, is this a conversation between Natasha and the symbiote, therefore it should be thought balloons, or is it a conversation that Natasha is vocalizing, or is it a conversation that Natasha's having in her own head, her in a monologue? But I went through this whole thing with the symbiote where I didn't want the symbiote to just be a tag along with Natasha. And there was a scenario that we put in where symbiote actually detaches itself from Natasha and starts showing more emotion. Because that's the whole thing, is like every symbiote is supposed to be similar, but also different. And there's a lot of like rules, but I don't think anybody really plays by them. So if I do something that's a little illogical, I'll write like in my I'll write in my script, like I'll highlight it so the editors they'll say like #comicslogic, let me know if you want me to change it. But a lot of it is, rule of cool. Just do what works, and what's going to move the story forward. So
here is an idea pitch for you to pitch Marvel. What would happen to Marvel Universe if Galactus went vegan?
Oh my God.
It's supposed to be temporary.
Vegan.
Yeah, he doesn't eat planets, but he has to eat something like dark matter or something. Like he decides to go.
Well,
if you pitch that and they approve, I'd like to call it.
Well, I was gonna say, like, when Galactus consumes the planet, he's not like grabbing a planet and taking a bite out of it like an apple. The planet gets atomized into a source, into an energy source that he can then absorb.
Yeah.
So if Galactus was gonna go vegan, then I don't know if that would even make a difference, because when he atomized, when the planet itself gets atomized into an energy source that he can metabolize, I don't think it would I don't think it would, like, he would be able to differentiate between mammals, or, if he's a pescatarian or whatever. I don't think he would be able to differentiate, because it's all just, everything's broken down to a molecular level.
Well, yeah, veganism for him would be like, no planets. It's like,
yeah, he wouldn't be able to survive as a vegan. I mean, there's a few people that can't survive as vegans. I mean, I'm allergic to beans and nuts, so I can't have lentils, I can't have beans, I can't have peanuts or anything like that. I can't be a vegan, and I've had plenty of friends that are vegans that are like, "Why don't you go vegan?" I'm like, because I literally cannot survive if I did it. But thank you, I'll be okay with my chicken.
Comics trying to kill you. Your vegan friends trying to kill you. What's going on here, Erica?
Yeah, you gotta rephrase that to plant-based. That's more like.
It's like Get Carter. Remember that movie, Get Carter?
Yeah. Tell them all to calm down,
like
will
that.
you?
That was the one with Sly, right?
Yes. Are you vegan, Bud?
No, I'm just regular.
No, I mean, like, I've had tofu. I've had like the tofu based meats and things like that, and a lot of them, have no taste. So you just drown them in some type of sauce. But what I found a lot with a lot of vegetarian food and a lot of vegan foods, they have a lot of sodium in them. Like especially if you look at like if you look at veggie burgers and stuff like that, they have a lot of sodium. But I eat a lot of mushrooms. You know, like I do like portobello steaks and things like that, like big portobello mushrooms where you like marinate them like a steak and then you grill them like a steak, and they have like they have a great texture and they're very dense, like having a steak. So I like portobello mushrooms. Yeah, I can't go full vegetarian or vegan.
Have you ever grilled watermelon? I have to ask.
I have grilled. I have not done it, but I've been at barbecues where they have grilled watermelon.
And have you tried it?
Yeah.
How was it?
You know what's really good is grilled pineapple is really good too.
Okay, I've seen grilled watermelon, and it amazes me that it pretty much looks like a piece of meat if you cut it like a piece of meat when you're done, which is just.
Wait, what? You grill the red stuff with watermelon?
Yeah, you grill.
Yeah. If you take a piece of watermelon, you cut it to look like a piece of meat, dude,
Why?
and you grill it. It will. I mean, why do you grill it? For the flavor purposes. Why does it appear like it's a piece of meat? Because that's how it reacts to the fire. I don't know, man.
A lot of times, when you add heat to something, it caramelizes the sugars. So when you put like watermelon or pineapple or something like that on a grill, what you're doing is you're caramelizing. I think that's the right word. You're caramelizing the sugars and bringing those out like almost more to the surface and giving it like a more sweetness to it. It's like have you ever done like a balsamic reduction? Like when you pour if you deglaze it, like if you're cooking and you go to deglaze the pan, and like usually people put like white wine to deglaze the pan. I don't drink alcohol, so I don't put that in. But if you put like a little balsamic vinegar to deglaze the pan, and then you let it sit and cook down, it'll cook down into like a syrup, and it'll go from being like tangy, like a vinegar, to being like very sweet because all the sugar in it sort of comes up to the top, kind of thing.
And that's my job, being a butt, saying, look, we talked about food enough with you, Erica, last time you were on.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh!
Sorry.
I didn't know.
Talk about
I swear, if I ever get any chef on this show, if for any reason, just for any reason I ever have a chef on this show, Erica, I'm gonna need you to co-host that one if you're available.
You know Gregory Wright? Is his name Gregory Wright? He's a colorist, and he also works as a chef.
Stop! Look, I still gotta get Scott to get Dave dates. I don't. Just, look.
I've already given you too many tasks. I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I love it because that's the way the show works. Because it is very much networking, and I know if you look throughout the questionnaire, there's so many people that are great creators that, as a matter of fact, have worked with one another on some level. That have all been on this show. Hell, some of them are on a particular quest at the same time together when we bring on a creative team, and I love that because it shows that to make comics, it truly is a team effort. There is no piece of entertainment to that level, whether it's a book, whether it's a comic, whether it's a movie, music, that is put together by one person. In most cases, there are rare cases where that is not, but in 99% of those cases, it is a large team of people to be able to bring that together.
Don't bring up Hall & Oates.
Yeah, and Erica, that's why I'm trying
like a band. I mean,
hey, look, see, that's why Erica is why I'm trying to get some people to come over here as cohorts. As questionnaire. Don't mind the way I did it. Why you got to call me out on my scheme, right? But for all y'all out there watching, I hope y'all have enjoyed this class. Click the links in the description. You can find out everything Erica's doing right now, from Rat City, Daredevil Woman of Fear, and Black Widow Venomous, and everything else she's got coming on. That thing that she won't talk about. At least, Kelly would. Every time I get somebody come on here, y'all got one thing y'all won't just talk about, right? So I want to let you know if y'all have.
I'll tell you off camera.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna wrap this in that case, man, because I want to know, right? But I want to let y'all know if you've enjoyed this quest. What I want you to do someone should just send Erica a Phoenix, right? Make sure you don't set her house or anything on fire. She already had water damage. She doesn't need a fire, all right? But send a Phoenix. Just make sure you've got chilled out, right? Right? With a bunch of steak burritos, yeah, and some almond joy and Cadbury cream eggs. And really, rock to bludgeon, scissors to stab, paper to write. Jesus, Erica, what's wrong with you?
Patron saint of love and violence.
Apparently, you go back a couple of quests to find out what that was all about. Right now, if for some reason you haven't enjoyed this quest, one, why are you at this point, right? But two, whatever. I'll tell you how to torture Erica, right? So what you do is you send her some evil clowns, right? To shove her in a car, do nothing more than travel and travel and travel, while in the back her husband makes fried bologna and tomatoes, right? And if you want to add, just a little bit extra, make sure all the clowns are just like, right? Yeah. Besides that, like I said, I just want y'all to do three things. One, give it that thumbs up. Two, always get your comic on. No, Erica's got several out there dropping that are fantastic. Three, have a good night, y'all.
Good night, everybody.
This has been the questionnaire.
Where's the link?
Thanks for checking out the questionnaire.
In the link below, yes?
I will drop it like it's hot.
That's another party.
It's cool, man. I love it.
The questionnaire. That is all.